Welcome to Middle Class Matters, Business News in English from Dr. CMA Allegation on the SEBI order, confirmatory order in the case of Z Limited, Subash Chandra and Punit Goenka, debarring them from holding any post, any directorship or key managerial personnel in the existing companies of Z or SL Group or merged or demerged entities. In this case, Z Limited has merged with Sony Entertainment. In this company also they cannot hold any position. Continued. 34. In this regard, the bank statements of Z Limited and associate entities were examined. The same also led to the examination of bank statements of a few other companies, some of which were part of the SL Group. The examination of the bank statements prima facie showed the following pattern. 34.1. It is noted that in 5 out of 6 instances of associate entities transferring funds to Z Limited, except the instance involving SL Corporate Resources Private Limited that have been identified in the interim order, just prior to the said transfer, a substantial deposit has been made by the related parties of Z Limited, namely once by Pan India Infra Projects Private Limited and on 4 instances by Spirit Infra Power and Multi Ventures Private Limited, promoter of Z Limited, in the account of the associate entity. Even in the instance when Pan India Infra Projects Limited has transferred money to the associate entity, it has received money from Spirit Infra Power and Multi Ventures Private Limited. Thus, the promoter of Z Limited was involved in all 5 instances. 34.2. It is also noted that prior to the receipt of funds from Pan India Infra Projects Private Limited and or Spirit Infra Power and Multi Ventures Private Limited, the associate entities had negligible balances compared to the proposed transfer they were to make to Z Limited. 34.3. As per the available material, it is noted that in 3 of 5 instances, the difference in time of receipt of money from Pan India Infra Projects Private Limited and or Spirit Infra Power and Multi Ventures Private Limited and onward transfer of Z Limited by the associate entity is in the range of 7 minutes to 27 minutes approximate. The aforesaid facts, when seen together along with the connection between the promoter of Z Limited and associate entities on a preponderance of probability basis, leads to an inference that the approximate cost for the receipt of money from Pan India Infra Projects Private Limited and or Spirit Infra Power and Multi Ventures Private Limited was for the purpose of onward payment to Z Limited by the associate entities. The table below shows the requisite details as stated above. Serial number, name of associate entity, date, account balance, conduit entity providing funds, amount received from conduit entities, amount transferred to Z Limited, end of day balance. 1. Pan India Infra Projects Limited, Private Limited. 26th September 2019. Opening balance was 60,604. Closing balance also 60,604. Received from Spirit Infra Power 14.8 crore and transferred to Z Limited 14.8 crore. 2. SL Green Mobility Limited. 27th September 2019. Opening and closing balance 12,491. Received from Pan India Infra Projects Limited 17.1 crore, transferred to Z Limited 17.1 crore. 3. SL Corporate Resources Private Limited 30th September 2019. Opening and closing balance 51,592. Received from Charu Enterprises Limited 22.3 crores, transferred to Z Limited 22.3 crores. 4. Pan India Network Infra West Limited, 1st October 2019. Opening balance was 4 lakhs, closing balance was 14 lakh. Received from Spirit Infra Power 49.3 crores, transferred to Z Limited 49.3 crores. 5. Living Entertainment Enterprises Private Limited, 1st October 2019. Opening and closing balance 1.35 crores. Received from Spirit Infra Power 17.4 crores, transferred to Z Limited 17.4 crore. 6. SL Business Excellences Services Limited, 10th October 2019, opening balance 9.3 crore, closing balance 6.7 crore, received from Spirit Infra Power 23 crores, transferred to Z Limited 23 crores, 34.4. With respect to the sixth instance, it is noted that the entity which has transferred funds to SL Corporate Resources Private Limited immediately prior to the onward transfer to Z Limited is Charu Enterprises LLP. It is noted that Charu Enterprises LLP is involved in all the transactions as discussed in the interim order, except in the fund transaction where SL Green Mobility Limited has transferred funds to Z Limited. 34.5. In fact, in all the instances where Spirit Infra Power and Multi Ventures Private Limited has transferred money to the associate entities directly, 4 in numbers out of 5, it has invariably received the funds from Charu Enterprises LLP. It cannot be a mere coincidence that the promoter entity of Z Limited is receiving funds from Charu Enterprises LLP on the same day or just a day prior, and then is transferring almost identical amounts to the associate entities to be further transferred to Z Limited. On a preponderance of probability basis, it is odd to attribute to mere coincidence the flow of funds in 4 different chains across layers of prima facie connected companies of near identical amounts in a matter of few minutes and days. The same prima facie establishes purposely orchestration of movement of funds on a preponderance of probability basis. The same prima facie establishes purposely orchestration of movement of funds on a preponderance of probability basis. Thus, when one considers the following facts on a preponderance of probability basis, it leads to an inference that the funds that were transferred by Charu Enterprises LLP to Spirit Infra Power and Multi Ventures Private Limited were for paying Z Limited. 34.5.1. The funds were received by Spirit Infra Power and Multi Ventures Private Limited from Charu Enterprises LLP on the same day or just a day prior to the transfer to the associate entity. 34.5.2. Spirit Infra Power and Multi Ventures Private Limited transferred almost identical sums to the associate entity as it received from Charu Enterprises LLP. 34.5.3. Spirit Infra Power and Multi Ventures Private Limited transferred the funds immediately to the associate entity. 34.5.4. Timing of the contact between Spirit Infra Power and Multi Ventures Private Limited and Charu Enterprises LLP coincided with the period when the associate entities had to transfer or return the funds to Z Limited. 34.5.5. The funds prior to the receipt of Z Limited from the associate entity had already passed through multi-layers in an apparently orchestrated manner. 34.5.6. Spirit Infra Power and Multi Ventures Private Limited and Charu Enterprises LLP are closely connected with each other. The former is the promoter of Z Limited, whereas the majority partnership interest in the latter is that of Miss Sushila Goenka, who is the wife of entity number 1 and a part of the promoter family. It is seen that Miss Sushila Devi Goenka, along with her son, Mr. Punit Goenka, entity number 2, controls 89% partnership interest in the said LLP through an intricate web of cross-holding. A pictorial representation of the partnership interest pattern of Charu Enterprises LLP, as noted from the publicly filed documents by the said LLP, is reproduced, is also attached as an annexure to this order. 35. As noted in the preceding paragraphs, bank statements of few other companies were also examined. It was noted that the said companies were in between the initial transaction done by Z Limited and or listed subsidiaries of SL Group companies and the leg wherein Spirit Infra Power and Multi Ventures Private Limited receives the funds. Such companies are hereinafter referred to as conduit entities. Charu Enterprises LLP has played both the roles of a conduit as well as the entity which has transferred money directly to the associate entity. The aforesaid examination of the bank statements prima facie showed the following pattern. 35.1. The conduit entities had negligible balance prior to receipt of funds from the initial recipients of the funds from Z Limited or its subsidiary and or listed companies of SL Group and their subsidiaries. 35.2. Conduit entities have transferred identical amounts in 21 out of 23 instances upon receipt of funds to one or multiple other conduit entities. 35.3. As per the available records, the time range of transfer between receipt of funds by conduit entities from the initial receipt and to other conduit entities is in the range of few seconds to 2 hours approximate. 35.4. It is noted that out of the 6 instances involving associate entities that have been discussed in the interim order, in 5 instances, the leg involving the conduit entities got completed in a single day. In other words, the time when the conduit entity received funds from the initial receipt till the time Spirit Infra Power and Multi Ventures Private Limited received the funds to be directly transferred to the associate entities is within 24 hours. 35.5. There are few conduit entities which have appeared on multiple occasions across the fund transfers, namely Egg Mart Trading Private Limited, Ayati Multi Trading Limited, Lemonade Capital Advisors LLP, Charu Enterprises LLP, Datalink Multi Trading Private Limited, Zictraca Media Solutions Private Limited, and Lancium Techno Infra Private Limited. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, please share to your friends and relatives to educate them also on the stock market operations and the company's operations, how they transfer funds and misuse the funds of the public limited companies wherein we are also shareholders. So we have to be very careful while investing our money in the equity market, and we should invest in very well established, most probably in the manufacturing sector, which are running for a very long time, wherein your money will be safe. Thanks for watching.